hold on. I want to do a talk. I had my speaker up over my head over this video. It's the open startup. A found up is an open startup. Now this is 2012, April. This is a year before Ethereum launched their white paper, and I'm going to basically put it in my own in the new words that we have now. So I'm going to mute it so I just can't hear it. But then I'm also going to link this video at the end of it, so then you can, look at it from that point of view. So with that said, let's start. And I may jump through this and move a little bit faster. So one of the first things that we're going to see here is that we're approaching the end of growth, right? And this is data that's been started in the 1970s. Coronavirus, here's death rates, here's birth rates, here's all these things. And it's been predicted. They ran it again in around the 80s, and they ran it again in 2000s. And what they said would happen around 2050, around this area, it's getting closer and closer and closer. So what I thought it was education, that's e-singularity, is e-singularity right here, or I'm going to pause it right here. E-singularity is the T-singularity, you know what it is, right? So it's the AI delivering autonomous education to at the 8th grade level initially, right, in math, science, language, arts. That's the first level. The second level is all the way up to college, and the third level, it's pretty much anything, right? Anything you want to learn. You don't need teachers, you don't need schools. It's autonomously delivered to you through smart devices. This is 2012, remember. We still don't have e-singularity. Technically, we have the AI now that can deliver it, but yet we don't have the solutions yet for that. And what I'm talking about here is its end is coming. It can't stop it, because ultimately what's driving all of this is the startup. The startup is the vehicle that drives capitalism, right? It is the engine, so to speak. And these startups level up, and they become these monsters that fund lobby groups and everything else. And I realized that if we're going to change the system, we're going to have to change the fundamental engine that drives it. And from one that is closed to open, and one that doesn't become corporations but becomes something else. What we call them today are DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. So in this model, all right, there's 3 stages to a startup. Now you talk to an investor, they won't know. You talk to a VC, he's talking about this area. You talk to an angel, he's talking about this level. You talk to the guy getting, a hackathon, he's talking about this level. So a pre-seed startup is a startup without any accredited investors, right? And under 100,000 in funding. That's what I call a pre-seed. A seed has over 100,000 to 2 million in funding, usually, right? And a VC, right, funded has over over 2 million to 50 to 100 million, right? And usually about 50 million in funding. That's the VC. And the simple fact, let me just go back really quick here, is that we know that 99% of these fail. The 1% that get to here, we know that 90% of these fail. And the 10% that get here, we know that 70%. So these are basically fail to fund. These fail to scale, right? They fail to scale, or maybe these fail to scale. I can't remember the different terms, but one of them was I know this failed to fund. I used to have this down. It's been so long that I talked about this. Failed to basically, scale, and this failed across the chasm, right? This one actually, this VC one is actually here. So really, it's the seed is here, the seed is this first part, and the VC is this last part. But it would make a bad drawing, right, on there. So I just kind of broke it the way that we did there, right? So with that said. And what I realized was we could ultimately simplify the process, and this is the ICO, right? So we could simplify the process in 2 stages, where you have micro seed investors, those are the token holders, that ultimately takes it all the way up to here, and then you have different rounds. So the ICO takes it from beginning all the way up to here by tokenizing it. So and I didn't use these terms because who would know what a token was, who would know about these things. I was trying to make a video that was specific to you know, a general audience. Now when I talked to, you know, to Michal Lisi, the founders of Ethereum, I went into all that because I knew that they would understand Bitcoin. They understood all of, you know, all of this. So the solution was a decentralized, right? Easy, simple, you open startup ecosystem. This is, what is that? That's on the blockchain. The ecosystem is on the blockchain. It's decentralized, and anyone can successfully launch their ideas through, you know, what we call a DAO today. It creates open, selfless entities. This is your DAO, the Open Corp right here, and these Open Corps ultimately turn around and reinvest. This is your DAI, right? The archangels are the DAIs, decentralized autonomous entities, right? They reinvest back into the system, where 80% goes back into, you know, into launching or rewarding the stakeholders, right? Reinvest up to 80% of the DAO's profits into new startups. So the DAO becomes replacement of the VC, the angel investors, right? I've changed this a little bit now, where actually 20% and 80% goes back rewarding the stakeholders. But in essence, this is the same thing 10 years later, right? And you know, I called this, here's the decentralized, turning innovation on its head. This is decentralization. It's bottom up, right? Centralization, innovation with an I, right here, turning innovation is top down. The I is where the idea starts, coming down, where the idea starts, going up. Decentralization. I didn't have the word in my vocabulary of decentralization at the time. So what I call the innovation revolution is the blockchain, right? Outcome. The blockchain, the innovation revolution, right? 95% of validators will successfully launch. You look at all the ICOs, now they launch, whether they and I would say a vast majority of ICOs successfully raised money. The problem is they ran off with the money. Okay, you look at 2017. You look at 5 years past this. 2017 was the year of the ICOs. Ethereum made it possible 2015. 2 years later they launched. A vast majority of ICOs launch. I didn't say it'd be successful. It means they launched, they raised money. And I think I was probably pretty well on that. You look at the whole ICO craze that went on from 2017, 18, right? Those 2 years, and then finally pretty much got nailed in the closet, right? We launched thousands of ICOs. Think of all the ICOs. Look at all the projects. Thousands of open corps. These are projects, right? These are DAOs. We didn't launch as DAOs, but they're projects of it. You know, not perfect. Understand, this is 5 years before all of this. It's not perfect, but pretty much what I'm saying became a reality. Right. And bringing the idea of the e-singularity, right, by 2017. Again, it's 2022. We still don't have e-singularity. I think we'll have e-singularity by 2025. Right? I think e-singularity, you know, I didn't really know where the scope of AI was, right? That was pretty much a guess. But I think by 2025 we'll have e-singularity. And e-singularity phase 1 again is an autonomous agent teaching an 8th grade equivalent out of a device, math, science, and language 8 without any teacher or school barrier. And maybe I can speed this up a little bit. Hold on a second here. You know what I can do? There's this here. You know what? Let's go a little bit top. Maybe I'll redo this. All right, we're going to go faster here. Okay. So, so the open startup paradigm, right? The open is a blockchain paradigm. There are no gatekeepers. That's the blockchain. Just launch. You put your idea down, you do an ICO, you start developing it, right? Secures holds the IP, that's the ICO, all right? A wholly owned corporation subsidiary. So the way this is a little different. This is kind of like a Wikipedia not Wikipedia, but the Encarta video, right? So this is where I did not see the paradigm. I was looking at more of Encarta, if you know what that is, and what Ethereum built was Wikipedia. So I was going for, okay, FoundUp holds the subsidiaries of the ideas and all that. So this is where you know, I got it wrong, right? And this was kind of like how I was looking to build FoundUps with investor money, and it wouldn't have been the outcome. And ultimately, what happened with Michał Lisi and Vitalik, they took my work and they translated how it would, you know, so they mashed it up. So what Ethereum did was genius. What Vitalik did was genius in regards to taking this work and moving it forward, right, on that. And let's go even faster, right, on that. Speeding this up here. Right, I'm talking about this too much. Let's just go here. So here is the, you know, I've got this diagram. This diagram is 2012, came out in 2011, and it's the FoundUp blockchain, right? So this right here, if I was to stop it here, this part right here, this little part is Bitclout. This whole part right here, this is Bitclout right here. And now what they're doing is with Diamond app, right, they're adding this other part to it, right? So they're you know, offering different seeds of funding. They just raised $50 million for the whole thing, this is the close. Now what's important to recognize here is something that that I didn't put in this diagram, because again I thought it was the thing that runs this is the smart contract. Notice the Bitcoin stays within the cycle and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because the Bitcoin is coming into this. This is, which I didn't fully understand back then, this is a decentralized autonomous entity, and all of the cryptos, all the fiat that comes into it gets translated into Bitcoin. It stores it, and then what it does is it allocates a native token out to the project, to the team, and other things. So these days ultimately sequester Bitcoin. These projects become backed by the Bitcoin in them, right? Just like the NFT, I talk about the NFT days. The NFTs are backed by the Bitcoin in these days, and this is a closed loop. So all the Bitcoin flows in, it stays in it. There's no exit of this Bitcoin. And this diagram hasn't changed at all in, you know, in the 10 years later. It's still the same thing. This is the template. Now this open, this is DAO. So the whole idea is when this idea levels, it levels up, it becomes its own day, right? Its own decentralized autonomous organization, DAO or day, right? Launches a day, and then it springs out and becomes its own entity. And this is why, for example, you have the double stacked, right? The double stacked triangle is 2-day stacked. What they're using in you know, in Bitclout or Deso, right? That image right there is of what these are, right? These things stack. So right now what Deso is after is all of the Bitcoin, right, that's out there, because they already validated my work by securing 5,000 Bitcoin in it. And this is why they have all these investors. So we simply can take Deso and we can fork it. And this is important. You know, we changed the paradigm to success equals access to closed capital networks. That's the only reason why Deso, right, decentralized social succeeded, was they had access to closed capital networks. Imagine a world where you don't have to worry about that access to closed capital networks, because the day replaces it. And the day evolves into a DAO with governance, and then which evolves into what? A smart DAO, right? So the 3 stages of DAO starts as a day, and then it becomes a DAO with governance, right? DAO usually means governance, and finally it becomes a smart DAO where AI takes over the governance of it. All right, so here what I want to show you is the big picture where we fits into Web 2.0, right? This OSI stands for the blockchain, Open Startup Innovation, right? Framework is the blockchain. So I'm going to show you in all of these. So here is the current model. The 1% launches all of these projects, right? So all these projects are controlled by the closed capital networks. And what I'm saying here is in the new paradigm, which we call the blockchain, or OSI, Open Startup Innovation Framework. That's the blockchain. Remember, there's Bitcoin on there. I showed you the Bitcoin. This again is 3 years before, a year before Ethereum's white paper came out, right? And here it comes back in. So so here is the ICO. The 99%, the money's coming into the ICOs, right? And these projects are ultimately launching from it. Highly scalable. The blockchain is highly scalable. This is the blockchain. Here are the days, right? The events, right? And ultimately, instead of it being, and you can think of the Open Corp Cloud, right? Is the blockchain, right? Open Corp Cloud. All of these projects are on this cloud being the blockchain. Again, Ethereum with their white paper created all the terminology, and that's it. So why Bitcoin? Like gold, there's a fixed amount, can be, right? Like every Bitcoin mint shared is entire, right? Is shared with the entire community through the native token, right? Every action, like follows, tweets, are microtransaction investments, right? That's right there is describing Bitclout. When you follow and stuff, that money is going into the, into the asset that's on Bitclout or Diamond app. These creates a pool of Bitcoin that then are distributed openly to open startups, right? Open startups, founders that level up. Again, this changed. I realized that it needs to stay in, this stays in the system, and it said the native token goes in there, right, on that. And, but the simple fact that it's Bitcoin infers that this is a blockchain, right? If I didn't have the word Bitcoin, you could say it wasn't. The simple fact that I am describing this as Bitcoin says there is a blockchain. So I'm describing the blockchain, what we have today. Again, here's the date down here, in a year before. And understand, I had shared everything. By this point, I had shared all my work with the Ethereum founders. All my work was shared with them. And what they did was they took my work, repackaged it, used different terms, and claimed it as their own in a genius way. Now I have I love what Vitalik did. The only thing I wish is they would give me recognition I deserve. That's all. Give the recognition. UnDaoDu deserves recognition. So this is the soft. This is all part of the patent, right? I was going to patent all this. I didn't have the money to patent it, so I never did. But the soft prototype is a way to create mock-ups. I actually use PowerPoint, right? So I had this where you could click on and you could go into it. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Yeah. What is going on here? So this is another January. This is an earlier video, okay, from January. Again, showing the big picture here on it, right? This is describing the blockchain right here in January, the current model versus the what we have now, changing it around where all the funding comes in here. And again, you can link these videos to, right? And this is actually a crowd. This is back here. Here's the DAO. Let me just shoot here, right? So this is the DAO, right? Here it is. So this is the current corporation, right? It's on top. You have the employees, and then you've got this gap, right? You have gap, and then gap. And I say, and this is the greatest stakeholder. This is, the slaves, the 99%. So I say this here, turn it on its head, And here is the image, right? This is the image of what? Bitclout. This is the first one. They stacked two of them on top of each other because these open corps, these DAOs, these centralized autonomous organizations, stack. And there is no division, right? You see, it serves, and this is, you know, this again was I was molding, right? But they saw this and was like, okay, look, here it is, and they took the work, interpreted it into a DAO, right? And here's the lesser. Here's the idea, and all this stuff goes out, and this is the DAO, right? Sets the 80%. You set the smart contract, right? And what it's just describing here is a DAO, right? And there's no division. We're divided equally amongst the lesser stakeholders, LS stakeholders. Example, right? So writing smart contracts and writing a smart. How do we create this? And this is why, you know, Mihao says, you know, what you did completes what we're doing, because this part here, the DAO, really completed the work that they didn't have this, and this is what gave them like aha on there. All right, thanks for watching.